And you are met with that familiar roar of the Mull of Kintyre from this famous old ground. Red, the predominant colour everywhere you look. Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa. Two teams, 25 points each so far in this Premier League season. Forest in 5th, Villa in 6th, and we are off and underway on what's been a beautiful day in Nottinghamshire, but it's got a little chilly now, and Forest in the red shirts with the white shorts and the red socks going from left to right in this first half towards the Bridgeford stand, over towards our right hand side, and Villa right now in possession with the ball in their back line, in the navy shirts with the pinstripes across them, as a long ball forward towards Digne, who'd crept forward from that left back position, tries to send it in the direction of McGinn, and Forest reclaim possession. 30 seconds played, 0-0. Here come Villa. Duran into the feet of Rodgers. Rodgers outside the Forest penalty area, but they've got bodies back in there. I'll give you the two teams in just a moment, but first let's say hello to former Premier League winner Mark Albrighton with us here on 5 Live this afternoon.
Yeah, good evening, Chris. I'm looking forward to this one. I must say, I think with what you've just said there, obviously two teams at the top end of the table, a lot riding on this one, and two teams in form as well.
So with Villa in possession inside their own half, this is the Forest team. Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams, and then Dominguez and Yates. Dominguez is the only alteration from Forest win at 5:30 last Saturday when they beat Manchester United, a game you heard here on 5 Live. He's in for Jota Silva, and then Anderson, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi and Chris Wood with his 10 Nottingham Forest Premier League goals so far this season. And for Villa, they had made a couple of changes, but they've made a very late alteration to their name starting 11. Tyrone Mings was meant to be starting the game, but we're told he is feeling ill in the warm-up. So Pau Torres is back into Villa's back line. So Martinez in goal, Konza, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres and Luca Digne, and then Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans. Hold that thought. Here's Rodgers for Villa, in towards John Duran, who's clipped the back of the heels of Ryan Yates. It's a Forest free kick. In fact, it was Milenkovic who tumbled. And just to complete that Villa lineup, Cash, McGinn, Rodgers, and you'll note the name of John Duran in this Aston Villa starting lineup. He plays. Ollie Watkins is on the bench. We know, Mark, that he did have a minor knock during the week.
Yeah, obviously he got substituted at half-time in the week, and you always wonder what that is, if it's a knock, if it's a tactical change, but by the looks of this, it seems to be a tactical change, and it's exciting for Villa fans. It's exciting for John Duran to have a go from the start and see if he can continue that form that he's shown from coming off the bench, and see if he can do it now for the course of 90 minutes.
Forest 0, Villa 0, 3 minutes played here on 5 Live Sport on what has already been an absolutely brilliant Saturday afternoon. And here come Forest for the first time running it. Villa's back line, it's Hudson-Odoi, his layoff to the edge of the penalty area. Gibbs-White is trying to make a bit of room for himself, he's not able to do so, so it's recycled back to Elliot Anderson, who's having a tremendous time in Forest midfield in his first season. Whipped ball into the box, first test for Emi Martinez, passed by the Villa goalkeeper, big leap, plucks the ball off the head of Chris Wood. Yeah,
Martinez has done really well there. Obviously the presence of Chris Wood is difficult in that 6-yard box there when a ball comes in the box, but it's a great confident start from Martinez, claiming the ball well.
And probably one that the Argentinian needs as well, after what happened during the week at RB Leipzig with his error that led to Luis Openda's goal.
Yeah, a bit unlike him in the week, a bit unsure for probably both goals. He started to come and shuffled back, but yeah, nice confident start for him.
Didn't matter in the end, did it? Villa won it by 3 goals to 2. They're 5th in that Champions League phase now. Here's Tielemans for Aston Villa. He's 15 yards outside the Forest penalty area, and he's clipped it out to this left-hand side where Digne receives it. 4 minutes in, Forest 0, Villa 0. Earlier today in the Premier League, Arsenal 0, Everton 0, Liverpool 2, Fulham 2. Here's Digne, his nod down from the left side of the penalty area, interrupted by Dominguez for Forest. One back by Kamara, and just inside the Forest half is the Villa centre-back Diego Carlos. Newcastle 4, Leicester City 0, and Wolves 1, Ipswich 2. A late winner from Jack Taylor. We'll be reflecting on all of those games further at half-time here on 5 Live. This is Digne, deep inside Forest half, full Villa, left-hand side. His cross is well blocked, and then Chris Wood is fighting with Pau Torres to try and get the ball back again. Torres has lifted it over Wood's head, and Digne has kept the ball in play. Forest wondered if it had gone out for a throw. It has now. It's a Villa throw.
Yeah, I think it's been a big feature of Villa's game. Digne down this left-hand side.
His throw into the penalty area. Duran was using his muscle. It's going to be a great watch, isn't it? John Duran up against those two Forest centre-backs today, Murillo and Milenkovic.
He must be excited for it. He's waited a long time for this chance to have a go from the start, and it's a great game to be involved in. Such an important game at an early-ish part of the season. It's a great opportunity for him.
3 wins in a row now for Aston Villa. Brentford and Southampton beaten in the Premier League. That win over RB Leipzig in the week as well in the Champions League. But Nottingham Forest have very quickly become one of these stories of the season, haven't they? But they're not seeing a great deal of the ball in these first 5.5 minutes here at the City grounds. It is Forest 0, Villa 0, but it's Villa in possession on the halfway line. Yeah, very patient. I know the centre-halves look for that switch of play to the high full-backs. So patient build-up, but when it's on, they do like to get it forward very fast. Luca Digne back to Pau Torres. Wonder how much time he had to prep himself to be in this Villa starting 11 tonight with that late withdrawal from Tyrone Mings. And Unai Emery actually saying before the game as well, he chose Mings ahead of Torres because of Chris Wood. He thought that Mings would be able to cope with him better.
Yeah, but I do think that they've got a lot of quality in that area of their squad, and Pau Torres strikes me as a professional player. He does strike me as someone that, regardless of whether he's in the team or not, he's making sure he's ready. So I don't think the quick change will hinder him too much, and I don't think it'll hinder that back line too much.
McGinn using his body well, holding the ball up, releasing Digne on the left-hand side. His cross into the box, caught well by the Belgian Matt Sells. That's too good, authoritative piece of goalkeeping at either end now. Yeah,
again, same for Matt Sells there. It's great confident take, keeps hold of the ball, and takes all pressure from his defence, which is great in these opening few minutes.
And he did land a little awkwardly there as well, Matt Sells. He seemed to be holding the bottom of his right foot for a moment.
Yeah, he does look like he's struggling a little bit, but he's back on his feet.
And play back underway with Forest in possession in their left-back area. 0-0 between them and Villa here on 5 Live, but Forest have lost it again. Morgan Rogers has got it. Here's McGinn outside the box. McGinn just got caught in two minds. I don't know if he thought Digne had crept forward on that left-hand side, and he ended up prodding it straight to Ola Aina, the Forest right back.
Yeah, I think he's used to Digne being out there, so when he has prodded it, he's expected him to be there, but not on this occasion.
John Duran has been caught and is sat down on the deck with Forest a little loose with the ball, giving it straight back to Villa again. And actually referee Sam Barrett, who was in charge of Villa against Forest at Villa Park in February earlier this year for what was a belter of a game, Villa 4, Forest 2. He's in charge tonight. He's gone to check on the welfare of John Duran, and it looks like Duran is okay.
Yeah, I was just in the replay. I don't look too much in it there. Probably a slight clip on the left leg, but yeah, nothing that's going to stop him from playing on in this game. Like you say, playing from the start it's a big opportunity for him.
Gave that ball a good old wallop, didn't he, against Leipzig during the week in the Champions League to score another brilliant goal.
I think this season especially, we've seen how hard he can hit a ball. He's not scared of shooting from anywhere.
0-0 so far between Forest and Villa as the offside flag is raised against Matty Cash in that right wing position, advance forward. He is playing higher up today, Cash, for Villa, as he did actually in that game in the Champions League during the week.
Well, I think I remember rightly when he actually played for Nottingham Forest, he did play in a higher position there, and that's where he was effective enough to get his move away from Forest. So it won't be too alien for him. He knows the role, and also he now knows that defensive role, having played it for so many years. So he's been a fantastic player for Aston Villa over the years, and he's going to be asked to do a bit of a slightly different job tonight.
Yeah, 141 appearances Matty Cash made for Nottingham Forest. His dad actually was at the club as well many years ago. Stuart, he never actually played for Forest, but he was here during the Brian Clough era, which must have been very interesting, even if he didn't get on the pitch.
Yeah, we hear so many stories about that era. It's one that you you're desperate to have been a part of. But the stories that comes out of the people that were around at that time are pretty special.
Lifted ball forward for Forest, for Gibbs White to chase it down into that left corner flag area, and he is just nudged out of it in the end. It's going to be I think it's going to be a Forest throw, is it, or a Villa throw? No, it is going to be a Villa throw. The ball has been given to Ezri Konsa, the Aston Villa right back. So Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0, and it's had a fair bit of zip about it, Mark Albrighton.
It has, yeah. Villa seem to have controlled the possession in the opening 10 minutes, but both teams put a couple of balls in the box, and we'll be hoping for a few more chances, a bit more open.
Was Morgan Rogers bombarding forward from the halfway line. He took a tumble, he wanted a Villa free kick. That was waved away. And then some defending for Diego Carlos to do, but his header has only found a Forest midfielder. This is Dominguez, who sent it out to Nico Williams on that left-hand side. Collected by Hudson-Odoi with his head slightly bowed forward as he runs towards Villa's defenders, and he collects it again on that left wing, Hudson-Odoi. He's trying to get his way past Cash here. Dominguez with the layoff. Forrester desperately trying to work a bit of space here. Gibbs White back to Hudson-Odoi, left-footed cross into the penalty area, cut out by the head of Boubacar Kamara.
Yeah, they have got some exciting players, haven't they, Forest, going forward?
And he's trying it again here. Hudson-Odoi from that left side. Gibbs White looking to spin around a couple of Villa players. He's unable to do that. And eventually, Villa are going to be able to play their way out, but not without a bit of Forest pressure, which for the first time is making Villa look a little jittery, and Forest have got a throw on that left side, deep inside Aston Villa's half.
Yeah, one thing I like about Forest, when they've obviously got these players going forward, they like to attack. They've got Hudson-Odoi, they've got Morgan Gibbs White, and these players, they're tricky. They've got licence to take players on and create things, but when they lose the ball, which is going to happen on certain occasions, they've always got numbers around to win it back as quickly as they lose it, and it makes it difficult for the opposition team to then get out of that final third.
There was a slight delay here because Morgan Rogers, the Aston Villa attacking midfielder, had the ball smashed at him from about 3 yards by his own teammate Matty Cash. So he will probably be feeling a little dazed, but he's okay. Plays back underway as Murillo lifts one in for Milenkovic. Martinez is always going to get that, the Villa goalkeeper, and he comes to claim, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, another good claim there from Martinez. Obviously with Milenkovic going forward there, and his presence alongside Wood in the box there, it's going to be a tough afternoon this for Villa's defenders.
And what a prize on offer for these two teams tonight. The winner going above Manchester City, if indeed we have one tonight, up into the Premier League's top 4. Forest 5th, Villa 6th at the start of play.
Yeah, it's incredible really to see where both clubs have found themselves now. If you look back at the last sort of 5 or 6 years, you wouldn't have predicted that this would be the case. But both teams have had great recent history. Forest obviously have built their way up. Villa, the last couple of years, they've really excelled on both the domestic front and in Europe. So both teams deserve to be there, and hopefully they can build on what they've achieved so far.
Pau Torres in possession for Aston Villa, 15 yards inside Forest half on this near left-hand side. We're in the Peter Taylor stand with its very low sloping roof, so anytime that ball goes up into the air, Mark, we completely lose sight of it for a few seconds. Yeah,
we'll have to guess where it ends up, I think.
Yeah, I think you'll be far more capable of guessing where the ball's going than I will when it disappears up into the sky. Here's Nikola Milenkovic. What a great season he is having for Nottingham Forest, the Serbian, though player's been stopped here because we've got another player down here, and is just wondering if that is Ryan Yates, the Forest captain, who has sat himself down off the ball here and is asking for a couple of members of Nottingham Forest medical team to get on the pitch and treat him.
Yeah, just seen a couple of minutes ago over the far side there. I think he sort of took a knock and he went down. He looked in pain. It took him a while to get back up to his feet, and once he did, he didn't look assured of himself. So he's just used this opportunity there with a little break in play, and you can see see both teams sort of coming together, gathering together, and sort of discussing the early moments of the game and where they see things happening. So it's an opportunity to get some messages across.
A game that is 15 minutes old tonight here on 5 Live and 5 BBC Sounds. You can take us with you wherever you go. Ryan Yates is okay, or at least he seems he is. I mean, we know he's an absolute warrior of a midfielder. He's on his feet, he's walking freely towards the touchline. He's taking a couple of swigs of water from a translucent plastic bottle and is skipping around. I think he's going to be okay.
I think he just gestured to his manager there that it was just a little twist. But they can be sore ones, but they can be run off as well. And Ryan Yates is the type of player that won't let a twisted ankle stop him. He's an all-action midfielder, and he'll be keen to get back on this pitch as soon as possible.
Yeah, so he's having to stand off it for that obligatory 30 seconds at the moment. So Forest start back underway, but playing with 10 men for now. Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0. Have you seen the statistic, Mark, around this amazing record that Nottingham Forest have in terms of a homegrown player being involved in every game for more than 4,000 matches consecutively?
Wow, it's special. It's a credit to the club. It's fantastic to have. You see so many teams these days that they've got a lot of players that they just go and buy. So for them to have that record is fantastic, and like I say, credit to the club.
And the reason I mention that, of course, is because Ryan Yates really is about the only player who can still prop that record up. So if he does end up going off injured, might be all eyes on Forest next game to see if they slip an academy player onto the bench. We will see. 0-0 here between Forest and Aston Villa. Let's head off to the rugby, shall we? The Champions Cup underway between Leicester Tigers and Sharks. James Burridge.
Leicester have the first score. They lead by 7 points to 3. Julien Montoya, the skipper, driving through to the line from the line out. Pollard with the conversion, and Leicester lead after 10 minutes by 7 points to 3.
0-0 here between Forest and Aston Villa. Have you been to Welford Road before, Mark?
Do you know what? I haven't. No. Drove past it hundreds of times, but yeah, never stepped foot in there.
Now is the time, it would seem, especially in Champions Cup season.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I might have to take a trip down there.
And of course, you've got a little more time on your hands now. Not too much. I know you've got the 3 kids, but yeah, a little more.
I seem busier than ever at the moment. Retirement. I need to come out of retirement just have a breather, I think.
I'm sure you'd love to be out there tonight. 17 and a half minutes played. 0-0 between Forest and Aston Villa. Mark Albrighton with us, former Aston Villa and Leicester City winger, of course. And with the score goalless and really still waiting for our first significant chance of the night for either. Villa have got the ball halfway inside Forest half, just left of centre with Pau Torres. It's back with Boubacar Kamara, who is a great plus for Villa to have back into this team, as Duran shoots from the edge of the penalty area, scoops that effort high over the top of the crossbar after the neat layoff from John McGinn in his direction.
Yeah, I think if it's anyone else, I think he'd be getting an earful from his teammates, but I think with his record and the way he plays, like we said earlier about shooting on sight, it's is more than capable of scoring from there, so nobody can blame him for having a pop.
51st Premier League appearance for John Duran today, and only his 5th start in this division.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity for him. Like we've said, it's a huge opportunity to come in from minute one, and he needs to put his stamp on the game. And Ollie Watkins will be on that bench, and I'm sure he'll be ready to step on at any moment.
So Matt Sells has got the ball at his feet at the moment, the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, in all light blue, as he crashes a ball right-footed downfield into Aston Villa territory. Luca Digne neatly brings it down on his chest and gives it to Pau Torres, and that is the moment for Unai Emery to complete his latest march across these very, very wide technical areas here at the City ground. They've got, I mean, my geometry is not great, so maybe you can correct me on this, but I reckon they've got to be 30 feet long and about 12 feet deep.
Yeah, it would be far off. I think that's the thing that struck me the most. The first time I came to this stadium was the space that's around the dugout area. You've got no end of space between the where the fans are and the start of the pitch. Then, considering to the other side, it's there's not much space at all. So that's one thing that struck me. I never realised before I came here.
That's because you don't spend any time on a substitutes bench. You're always in the starting 11, that's why.
I've spent enough time.
20 minutes in, 0-0 between Forest and Aston Villa here on 5 Live, via BBC Sounds as well. On a brilliant day of Premier League football already. And remember, 6:06 to come tonight as well with Chris and Robbie. I'll let you know when those phone lines open up later, as Murillo tries to open things up for Forest with a run from the halfway line. Anderson spreads it with his right foot to the left wing. Hudson-Odoi up against Esri Konsa, and it's laid up to the edge of the area where Ryan Yates shoots, and he never really looked comfortable. He's hooked that effort about 12 rows back into the Aston Villa visiting supporters behind Emi Martinez's goal.
Yeah, not sure if he thought Morgan Gibbs-White was going to take it off him, just in front of him there. But like you say, he never really looked confident, never looked set for the shot. But it was a good opportunity. I heard him speaking a few weeks ago that he wants to add more goals to his game, and that was a good opportunity. He's got good technique, so he'll be disappointed with that, definitely.
Did score one against one of your former clubs, actually, Leicester City, back in October, Ryan Yates.
Yeah, again, thanks for that.
Here's Pau Torres, and now Boubacar Kamara, who's got the short sleeve shirt and the black gloves on, and he's scooped it out to the far right hand side where Matty Cash has brought it down, former Forest player of course. Tielemans, now Kamara midway inside Forest half. Villa going from right to left towards the Trent end in this first half, 0-0 as Digne's ball infield towards McGinn. McGinn lost his footing, it allowed Yates to get the tackle in, and Chris Wood just settles things down by sending it back to his centre-back Murillo.
I think Chris Wood does that really well. He's obviously getting the headlines for his goals this season, but there's a lot more to his game than just goals. His link-up play is superb. His movement's great. He knows when to play it simple, when to try and create something, and I think he's always had that, and it's only now that he's sort of getting the recognition that he absolutely deserves.
10 Premier League goals already this season for Chris Wood. And just to highlight Mark's point, 6 of the last 8 Premier League seasons he's scored 10 or more Premier League goals, which is an incredible record really. Forest 0, Villa 0, but it's the home team who have got the ball here on this slightly cold, but certainly not as cold as it has been in some of the games we've been at recently. Evening in Nottingham as Hudson-Odoi trying to trick to get past Morgan Rogers. He's come back to Gibbs-White, who's returned it to Hudson-Odoi, 15 yards outside Villa's penalty area, into the feet of the former Newcastle man, Elliot Anderson. And now on that far left-hand side, Gibbs-White has got it from Nico Williams. But that structure from Villa at the moment, they've got 10 navy shirts and the green of Emi Martinez all behind the ball.
I think that's been a key feature under Unai Emery. He's gets his teams very organised defensively, especially.
Chris Wood is lingering in the middle, hoping the ball's going to come his way from that left wing, and indeed it's in towards Dominguez, who's got it at the near post on the byline for Forest. Back out to Hudson-Odoi, right-footed in towards the near post again, headed away by Kamara for Villa, and Matty Cash comes into the challenge just to try and disrupt the flow of this Forest pressure, which is building now, and the City ground are responding to that. Yeah,
you can hear the fans, they're getting momentum, and you can certainly see why Chris Wood has scored so many goals. Their aim is to get balls in the box quite a lot.
Hudson-Odoi having a run at Konsa, getting past him, hooked up towards the far post. Digne's got a lot of time to take that down. He does on his chest, and then he clears it with conviction upfield with his left foot, smashed forward by Milinkovic. That was a bit scrappy from him. And actually, Chris Woods, as it bounces through to Emi Martinez, is saying, just calm down a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's his experience. Obviously, Chris Wood came on the scene when he was fairly young. He's been around for a long time, considering his age, and I think he's, with his experience, like I said earlier, he knows when to calm things down, play it simple, and he knows when to sort of make the move to try and create something, and he's just passing that information on to his teammates there, and that shows you the sort of the guy he is as well, in terms of being a leader from the front, having control of the rest of the side as well.
It's the voice of Mark Albrighton with us tonight here on 5 Live. Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0, and the two opportunities that the two teams have had at either end have both been half opportunities really. Duran's scooped shot over the bar, and Yates, which was a little wilder than that down the other end. So 25 minutes in, and as it stands, these two are going to be unmoved in the Premier League table in 5th and 6th respectively, as Forest and Villa are.
Yeah, quite a cagey start, hasn't it? It has been quite a cagey start, not too much in either penalty box, but you can certainly see why the teams are up there with the...
Here's Tielemans running forward for Villa, just outside the penalty area, gives it to Duran. Duran, left-footed, looking to get it in towards Rodgers. It's cleared away as far as Kamara, who's leapt to head it to his left-hand side for Digne. Now McGinn from the left wing, swings it up to that far post. Good bit of Forest defending from Nico Williams there, left back, and then Rodgers tries to step over to get past Nico Williams, who's stood up to that challenge too. That's excellent from the Welshman. And Anderson clips it forward towards Woods, and Woods feels like he was being fouled, and so does most of the City ground, but it's been waved away by Sam Barrett. Villa back in possession on the halfway line.
Yeah, like I said about Forest earlier, and them winning the ball back as soon as they lose it. Same again, it was a clearance from Forest, and Villa have got the numbers in place to sort of gather the ball back and start building their attack again, and gaining possession of the ball and get everybody back in position and go again, and that's what they've done there.
Different sort of game to the one that was played between these two 6 years ago at Villa Park. Do you remember that, Mark?
I do, yes. Yeah.
In the Championship.
Plenty of goals.
Yes, 10. Aston Villa 5, Nottingham Forest 5. Tammy Abraham scored 4 of the Aston Villa goals that day.
Yeah, well, still early, you never know. You never know.
Ever the optimist, Mark Albrighton with us. No goals so far tonight between Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa, but you can understand the approach in many respects from both of these teams. Villa, of course, off the back of a Champions League game during the week, but they have tended to struggle, Villa, off the back of European matches in their following Premier League game. They're having to do some defending here. It's Ezri Konsa in that right back position as the cross comes in. Wood back across goal, and a bit of time for Diego Carlos with nobody there to clear it away from pretty much his own goal line. It is going to be a Forest free kick, about 25 yards outside the penalty area. Murillo's gone down to the ground under the challenge from Duran, but that was an opportunity for Forest.
It was another ball in the box as well. This time Hudson-Odoi was inside the pitch, and Nico Williams made the run down the line, and he was the one providing the width, and a superb ball to that back post. Great positioning again from Wood, and he will be expecting somebody just to be around that area, just to tap it in, and it's 1-0. But it'll be disappointing nobody's there to meet that knockdown, because it was a great bit of play all round.
Yeah, it was Nicolas Dominguez who was quite close, but he'd never really committed to go and read the situation that might have been coming. So Forest free kick, it's 20 yards outside the box. Murillo is over it, he's got his right hand in the air, the Forest defender. It's a left-footed ball in, which I don't think was executed quite the way that Murillo wanted it to, and now John McGinn's bringing it away for Villa. He's trying to set Duran free, but Aina had his position perfect, and he gets to the ball, the Forest right back, and he gives it back to his goalkeeper Sells.
Yeah, McGinn will be disappointed with that. I think that's an opportunity. It's great defending by Olarena. His position was great, but McGinn will be disappointed with the pass.
There's the flashy Callum Hudson-Odoi, and that's not just the orange boots either. He's seen a lot of the ball so far, the former Chelsea man, as Forest on that left wing, and that is the area they're attacking Aston Villa in this first half. So much of the play has been on that left side.
Absolutely, you can see what they want to do. They want to get the ball wide, whether it's to Hudson-Odoi or if he's inside. Like I say, Nico Williams provides the width, and then get balls in the box.
0-0 between Forest and Villa, but Forest on the front foot here, going from left to right. The cross into the middle from Nico Williams is headed away and retrieved again by the home side. 2 more Premier League games for you on 5 Live tomorrow. Brighton against Crystal Palace. Alistair Bruce-Ball and Mark Schwarzer will be there for that one. And then we've got the Manchester derby for you in full as well, with John Murray and Liam Osman. City against United, and not the usual Manchester derby. Even more stories than perhaps you would normally expect for a game of that magnitude, as Duran, who hasn't really had a sniff so far, barged off the ball inside his own half. Forest have it back with Murillo on the halfway line. Yeah,
I think if you look at Villa's shape now, they've almost got a back 5 with Matty Cash in at right back, and that does give the licence for Nico Williams to get forward. So it's organised, and obviously away from home in the Premier League, so there's nothing wrong with that, but it just it invites that little bit more pressure.
approaching the half-hour stalemate between Forest and Aston Villa. Hudson-Odoi again off that left wing, up against Matty Cash to the edge of the penalty area. Oh, that's lovely feet. The deflected shot takes it away. It's going to be a corner. That was really well worked by Nottingham Forest. Elliot Anderson just dragging the ball underneath his heel and tried to bend it with his right foot across goal, and it's deflected away, and it's a Forest corner.
Yeah, really like that from Hudson-Odoi there. He spent a lot of the game so far in his opening half an hour putting balls in the box when he gets half a yard, but on this occasion he mixes his game up and he finds the pass, and I think if there was a dangling leg there at one point, and Elliot Anderson probably could have gone down.
Yeah, and actually it's Forest club record signing Elliot Anderson, £35 million from Newcastle, who's going to take this corner from the right hand side. Still 0-0 between Forest and Villa. Anderson into the middle, the header is wide. It was Murillo, I think, who attacked that with a bit of purpose, and he rubs his head after sending that header about 5 yards wide of Martinez's right post.
Yeah, he does well to get there. There's a lot of bodies in that area, in the middle of the goal. Really, it's not one to the near post or the far post. It's bang in the middle of the goal, and once he gets there, he could probably do better, because it is a free header.
He did score against Newcastle here a few weeks ago. One of the few games that Nottingham Forest have actually lost at the City Ground recently. They've won 3 of their last 4 here. Beaten Palace, West Ham and Ipswich. 0-0 between Forest and Villa here. We'll go to the rugby very shortly as Pau Torres sends it out to the right-hand side for Cash. Nico Williams was slipped, actually. Rogers trying to return it for Cash. Stopped by Murillo, and the Forest defender is going to clear via Elliot Anderson. So let's go back to Welford Road. Leicester Tigers Sharks, James.
And Sharks have taken the lead, very physical, particularly from the tight 5. Shituka has just crossed and dived over the line to the right of the posts, converted by Masuku. Sharks 10, Leicester 7. We've had 24 minutes.
Cheers, James. That's live right now as well on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, and we've got boxing for you later as well. Natasha Jonas defending her IBF welterweight belt in Liverpool tonight from 9 o'clock, and a cracking card as well on Merseyside, so make sure you're with us for that this evening if you can be. Here's Gibbs White for Forest on the halfway line with a couple of neat touches to keep the ball. 32 minutes in, Forest 0, Villa 0.
Yeah, it's starting to open up slightly now. Forest have got more into it, had a couple more chances, better chances as well. You can hear the fans sort of getting a bit more involved and a bit more excited now. So the game is opening up.
If you are just hopping in your car, you're not aware of what's happened in the Premier League today. Liverpool dropped points at home to Fulham. They were playing much of that game with 10 men. You heard it here on 5 Live with Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton earlier. 2-2 it finished. Liverpool came from behind twice to get a point in that game. Arsenal didn't capitalise though. They drew 0-0 at home to Everton as Ryan Yates loses the ball in the challenge with Boubacar Kamara. It then bounces back off the Forest midfielder's boot and through to Emi Martinez. Newcastle 4, Leicester 0. That's the first defeat for Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge of Mark Albrighton's former club Leicester City. A couple of goals for Jacob Murphy in that game, and Ipswich won it very late on at Wolverhampton Wanderers. So how big a defeat might that be for Gary O'Neill? Ipswich and Wolves still in the Premier League's bottom 3. Yeah,
it's a huge result for Ipswich, especially with the late goal as well. But it's another massive body blow for Wolverhampton Wanderers and Gary O'Neill. They're really struggling this season to find any sort of rhythm and any sort of form. So it's a real dagger, that one. But we'll see what comes of that in the next few days, and if there's any fallout from that.
2 South Americans giving the ball to each other in Villa's backline. The Brazilian Diego Carlos back to his goalkeeper Emi Martinez, who's given it to Pau Torres, who's run a fair bit forward with it. Dinha's cross from the left-hand side, took a deflection. Nico Williams kept his eye on it and headed it away, kept the ball going in that direction. So it's on the far right with Rogers, 0-0. Morgan Rogers into the penalty area. Was he having his shirt pulled? There's lots of Villa players surrounding referee Sam Barrett, who didn't for a moment think about putting whistle to mouth. Villa want a penalty, Forest are continuing.
Yeah, I did think he had hold of his top there. He started initially outside the box and carried on into the box. I'm not sure whether it's enough to send Rogers down with the movement that it was, but still, if you're holding on to someone's shirt and somebody's arm, you're running the risk as a defender. So be interesting to see that one again.
Yeah, I'm sure John Brooks, today's VAR, will be casting an eye on that right now. 0-0 between Forest and Villa here on 5 Live. Forest have got the ball just inside Aston Villa's half. They're going from left to right, Forest, in their familiar bold red striped, bold red shirts, as Hudson-Odoi puts his foot on the ball and then gives it to Ryan Yates, Forest metronome in their midfield. And Milinkovic to Aina, the right back, who's having a very good season actually. Ola Aina, Forest Player of the Month as well for November, the Nigerian. Is Dominguez, Gibbs-White, challenged by Dinu, who felt the pain of that. Morgan Gibbs-White as well. Villa have got the ball back. Gibbs-White is limping away from that coming together, and off goes Morgan Rogers for Villa down the left-hand side. Here he is now. He's testing Elliot Anderson. He's giving it to Duran, who tried to return it to Rogers. And Forest defending once more is strong. Aina looking to set the ball forward for Woods, and Woods up against Diego Carlos into the penalty area, onto his right foot, shoots, and it's blocked in the end by Pau Torres, who got back there to double up on what was needed to deny Chris Wood.
Yeah, as the ball goes through there, I think Diego Carlos can commit to it, but he seems to stand off. Probably that knows that threat of Chris Wood and gives him that yard of respect, but I think he's got to be more forceful there. I think he can meet that and make the tackle sooner, but once he gets in the box, very good defending, stands up and manages to block the shot. And once Wood gets it on his right foot, there's always danger there. So defended very well. But yeah, like we said, starting to open up a little bit. A couple of opportunities at each end, and yeah, it's starting to become a good game.
Yeah, 9 minutes to go in the first half. Forest 0, Villa 0. Trying the rugby, the Champions Cup game between Leicester Tigers and Sharks. James Burridge.
Not one but two. We've had Julian Montoya, who scored his second from the driving line out, converted by Pollard, and then Ollie Hassel-Collins, the left wing, very lucky. He chased a kick to the corner from Pollard. Sharks defence lost the bounce, the ball spilled it and went straight into Ollie Hassel-Collins' hands. He touched the ball down. Pollard landed a 40-metre conversion. Leicester now well and truly on top. 21-10, 29 minutes gone.
Cheers, James. Thanks very much. Live on 5 Live Sports Extra, that game. Villa in possession, 0-0 here. They're playing away at Forest this evening as Morgan Rogers is tripped. It's going to be a Villa free kick. Elliot Anderson has sent him to the ground, and it's probably about 10 yards outside of the Forest penalty area, over towards that right wing.
Yeah, I do like Morgan Rogers when he's on the ball. I think he's got really nice feet. He sort of jinks past players. He's got a certain technique about him that allows him to skip past players. But probably if he works on his end product slightly a bit more, then he could be a tremendous player.
Just watching that incident involving Morgan Rogers and Elliot Anderson again, and Anderson did have hold of Morgan Rogers' hand, but Anderson is saying that Rogers was pulling on his shirt initially, so maybe that's why the referee never actually blew his whistle to give Villa the penalty they wanted. They do have a free kick here though. Forest 0, Villa 0, right of centre. It is a Villa free kick, and there's quite a few in navy shirts around that Forest penalty area, and in fact most of the congregation are all on the edge of Forest box here as it's whipped in. Konsa's header just wide of the post. I think Matt Sells was beaten there, the Forest goalkeeper, static on his line. He could only watch as that ball drifted agonisingly wide as far as Konsa is concerned of that right hand post. Still Forest 0, Villa 0.
Yeah, good delivery, not much pace on it. It just floated into a good area, and Konsa's able to just get that little touch, and it whistles past the post. Just watching it back now, it's ever so close. Yeah, I think, like you say, I think Matt Sells is beaten there.
He's played against Forest before for Brentford in the Championship. Ezri Konsa. It's great to have Nottingham Forest back in the Premier League. It really is. This is Murillo. It's a fine night tonight at the City Ground as well. Packed house, 0-0. Rogers, Cash in the box for Villa. Tried to square it for Duran. Forest have, not for the first time tonight, have made some very important interceptions.
They have, and we've spoke a lot about Hudson-Odoi down that left-hand side up the one end. A lot of what Villa are doing is coming down that right-hand side over there with Rogers and Cash. And yeah, like you say, they've defended it very well, Nottingham Forest. Villa
throw deep inside Forest half, right hand side. Morgan Rogers beginning to make things happen now for Villa. And Cash has got it in the box, but he's been smuggled out of the penalty area again on that right side by Forest defence. And then John Duran just leaning too heavily into that challenge, giving away the free kick to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, John Duran he's not really been involved. Lot made of him starting today, but he's not really had too much involvement. He'll want to get the ball a lot more, and that's probably resulted in him giving the free kick away there. He's too eager to sort of get the ball, but he needs to be patient. His time will come.
John McGovern is in the house tonight, Forest two-time European Cup winner. And actually, on the note, just while we have a Forest player down receiving treatment, I think it's Murillo over towards our right-hand side, even though it's completely empty tonight, Mark Albright. And have you noticed this brand new enclosed section that Evangelos Marinakis, the Nottingham Forest owner, has had built for himself here? Yeah,
well, I noticed that we could see in it about an hour and a half ago, and then all of a sudden something went up on the glass and we couldn't see into it.
Yeah, it was almost like those screens you get, when you're coming through the airport at customs and they can see you, but you can't see them. It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's not. But whatever, I'm guessing because he's not in there, they don't need to put that technology up, so we can see in. There's 8 empty and very luxurious-looking red padded seats in there.
Yes, yeah, just about to see in now.
But you're behind glass, and watching football behind glass is just rubbish, isn't it?
It's a lot warmer. I'll tell you that.
Well, there is that.
For someone that's forgot his gloves tonight.
Yeah. But you've got your balaclava, and I noticed that was pulled up over the face, so only your eyes were peering out when we were walking past all those Forest fans earlier.
Yeah,
probably why that was.
It's probably not the safest place for me to be walking around is these parts. So, plenty of disguise.
Yeah. Former Leicester and Aston Villa winger Mark Albrighton with us tonight here on 5 Live. Play back underway after that delay for the injury to Murillo. It's 0-0 and Villa come forward in sways again here. McGinn stopping the ball and then sending it to the left-hand side for Digne. Inside Forest final third. It's coming back in field now for Kamara. A 1-2 with Tielemans, and then Kamara tries to poke it through. The clearance is from Yates, but the City ground getting irritated that Forest are, as far as they're concerned, a little deep here perhaps, Mark?
Yeah, I think that's what they're complaining for. I think they've just sunken a little bit. Villa have had a little bit of pressure, and Forest have just sunk deep a little bit. Morgan
Rogers, edge of the penalty area, onto his left foot, shoots, blocked by the head of Murillo, who just sort of leant into it to nod it away. The £10.3 million signing from Corinthians last year, and actually got his first call up to the Brazil squad in November. Not that he played, Murillo, but here come Villa with Tielemans, and into the box for Cash, who got caught in two minds a bit, couldn't push the ball on to Duran, and Forest clear it away. But it's a scrappy clearance. It's given possession back to Kamara, but his touch was poor, and Ryan Yates intercepts it just inside the Forest half. He's now in Villa's half. Forest 0, Villa 0, and Ryan Yates has carried it about 40 yards. He's given it to Gibbs White on this right-hand side, and then Gibbs White, with a ragged pass, returns possession to Kamara again for Villa.
Yeah, Kamara just come out really well with the ball there, and I think he's been a feature of Villa's upturning form over recent weeks. His return from injury it's really coincided with Villa's upturning form, and he's been a big plus for Unai Emery.
Just can't get hold of the ball all of a sudden. Nottingham Forest are on the back foot again here. 2 minutes of the first half to play. Forest 0, Villa 0. Villa inside Forest's final third, far right-hand side, going from right to left, as Tielemans tries to play a crossfield pass, blocked by the head of Chris Wood. I mean, it's got very scrappy all of a sudden. Both teams have given the possession away on several occasions. Here come Forest. Chris Wood moving forward. Nobody up with him at the moment. Sensibly looks backwards to Morgan Gibbs White.
And he looks backwards, plays it backwards, and then his first thought is to turn and spin and get back in position in that line of the 18-yard box. Where he's going to no doubt get plenty of chances.
All the reaction to come at half-time in this game from the other Premier League games that have taken place today. Mark Chapman will run you through all the stories of the afternoon here on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds as well. Here, Forest 0, Aston Villa 0, 60 seconds plus stoppage time to play of the first half, and we are crying out for a bit of quality from somebody.
We are, yeah. I think we've noticed with both. Obviously, we've just spoke about Forest there when they sink, and I think you look at Villa now, and that they go to that back five. They've got they've got two or three lines where it's going to be very difficult to be broken down.
Sloppy from Forest again. The ball was out of the reach of Gibbs-White. Duran's carried it quite a way forward here, and then Aina steps in and tackles him. It runs loose to Rogers. Cash on the right-hand side, edge of the penalty area, right-footed shot. Sell's got a hand to it, pushed it away. Needed Milenkovic, his centre-back, to be there in the right position to complete that clearance.
Yeah, it's a strange save by the looks of it from here. He's just parried it out into the danger area. I think he gets a bit lucky that Milenkovic is there to tidy it up.
And then Rogers, dispossessed by Elliot Anderson. Here is Hudson-Odoi. We're going to have 3 minutes added on at the end of this first half, and Forest are going to have a crack at Villa's penalty area here. Elliot Anderson, his cross headed up into the air by Diego Carlos. Didn't travel particularly far from the Villa defender, and now Hudson-Odoi has got it, and he's about 10 yards outside Villa's penalty area. A bit of frustration again from the home crowd. They are perhaps seeing passes that they feel that the Forest players on the pitch should see, which is always an interesting one. This is Elliot Anderson.
I think they wanted a bit more width down this right-hand side. I think, obviously, Dominguez and Gibbs-White were both inside, and it was screaming out for Ola Aina to make that width up, but he didn't, and they had to recycle it.
Yeah, and actually Villa have got a free kick here now because Morgan Rogers has had his legs taken from beneath him. So an Aston Villa free kick. 2 minutes to play of the stoppage time at the end of this first half, and it is still Villa and Forest who are deadlocked at the City Ground, but that's certainly not the case at Leicester Tigers and Sharks in the Champions Cup rugby, is it, James Burridge?
Leicester are purring their fourth try, the bonus point. Solomoni Kata sizing through a gaping hole in the Sharks' defence. 4 tries in the bag already, 28 points to 10, a minute to go to half-time.
Been a busy day of Champions Cup rugby. You can get all the scores from all the matches right now on the BBC Sport website. We are closing in on the first half here. Unai Emery and Nuno both with their arms folded, the two managers on the edge of their technical areas, both in the big padded jackets today as well, because it is a night for the warm jacket. Down by the Trent, here's Pau Torres looking towards the feet of John McGinn, the little Scotsman, taken off his toes by Murillo. It's going to be a Villa throw. 20 yards inside Forest half, left-hand side, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, I think it has been a cagey half of football. There's been very few chances, a couple of half chances here and there, but both teams seem very, very organised defensively. Both teams seem very structured, and I think that's why we've seen a lack of chances and a lack of involvement in that final third. The build-up has been very patient. Villa looking for the switch from the centre halves to the high fullbacks. Forest looking to create a lot down that left-hand side, but other than that, it's been very quiet in the final third.
Such a landmark night for Nottingham Forest this evening. This is their 5,000th league game. They are the 12th English club to get to that milestone. 30 seconds left, it would seem, of this first half that has been relatively serene by Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa standards. It's goalless. It's Callum Hudson-Odoi, centre of the park, moving forward up towards Kamara, who's facing him up in towards the feet of Chris Wood. Back with Milenkovic, who has curled it out to that left-hand side. The offside flag is up, and that is a rather unnecessary way for Forest to concede possession. But in many ways, Mark Albrighton, as the half-time whistle blows at Forest 0, Aston Villa 0, that sums up the first half.
Yeah, I think it does. Frustrating there. I think he knows straight away, as soon as that ball's played, he knows that he's sort of forgot to get back in. And I think, like you say, it does sum up the half of football. It's been very cagey, very quiet, not really too much quality on show. So I think both teams will be going in at half-time. Disappointed that they've not give more, but obviously there's still 45 minutes to go, and if one of these teams can come out the blocks better than they have done in the first half, then this game is there for the taking.
Yeah, it's not quite been the rip-roaring occasion at the City Ground that we thought it might be, at least so far. They're going to stay as they are in the Premier League table if it remains like this. Nottingham Forest in 5th, 0. Aston Villa in 6th, 0.
And we will be back for the second half. Another try for James Burridge in the rugby.
It's been an extraordinary first 40 minutes as Andre Pollard just lands the conversion after scoring Leicester's 5th try in this first half. They lead 35 points to 10. 2 for Julian Montoya, 1 for Ollie Hassel-Collins. Salim Alicata screamed through a massive hole, and the hands from Leicester for that Pollard try were something. They have taken the South African side apart in this first 40 minutes. 35 points to 10 at half-time.
The ref looks in more pain than any of the players.
Yeah, poor old Andrea Piani. He couldn't quite keep up at one point for that 5th try of Pollard's. He looks like he slipped. He's walking off okay, but it did look like a nasty injury to his right ankle. And as I see him just walking up the steps behind the players, he does look okay. So fingers crossed he will come back and rejoin us for the second half.
Sports Extra if you want to listen to the second half of that. Elsewhere in the Champions Cup, Leinster 12, Clermont 7 at half-time. Bulls 21, Northampton 30 and Ulster 19, Bordeaux 40. Results from earlier. In the Allianz Premiership 15, Trailfinders 22, Exeter 41, Gloucester Hartbury 47, Saracens 31, Loughborough 22, Harlequins 40. In the Challenge Cup, a couple of results from earlier. Montpellier 59, Ospreys 15, Zebra 19, Lyon 21. And they are the couple of results from earlier on. Now, in the Premier League earlier today, it's been a breathless afternoon, really. Liverpool down to 10 inside 20 minutes with Andy Robertson sent off, but they managed to rescue a point against Fulham. It finished 2-2. That was our base from 3 o'clock. Arsenal and Everton ended goalless. Newcastle beat Leicester 4-0, and there was a dramatic end at Molineux as Ipswich scored late on from a corner to get a 2-1 win against Wolves, and then it all kicked off at the full-time whistle. So very shortly we'll join Pat Murphy at Molineux to round up everything that happened, and we'll hear from Gary O'Neill. But at 21 minutes past 6, Giuliano Cassidy has the news.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The United States, Turkey and a number of other Arab countries have agreed to support a peaceful transition process in Syria. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said they'd agreed the transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned. Rebel forces toppled President Assad's regime last weekend. A lawyer for rapper Jay-Z has asked a court to dismiss a lawsuit accusing him, along with Sean Diddy Combs, of raping a 13-year-old girl back in 2000 after inconsistencies emerged in her allegation. An Alabama woman named in the legal action by the pseudonym Jane Doe has accused the musicians of drugging and attacking her at a house party following the MTV Video Music Awards. Georgia's disputed parliament has appointed a former Manchester City footballer, Mikhail Kavalashvili, as president. He's due to succeed the current leader, who considers the current parliament illegitimate following allegations of vote rigging in October's elections. And the retired judge appointed by the government to tackle the backlog in the criminal court system in England and Wales is considering whether some serious cases should be decided by judges rather than juries. Sir Brian Levison said radical answers were needed as the legal system was overwhelmed.
The BBC is looking for the next generation of sports commentators. Could you join some of these?
Free header for Norgard, who sends his header into the bottom corner.
Now tough for Fanua. Jalibert dances inside. Wonderful feet and a wonderful score.
Chloe Lacasse with the header at the back post.
To get involved, send a video clip of you commentating on a bit of top-level sporting action to newvoices@bbc.co.uk. The deadline for submission is Friday, the 20th of December. For full details, head to the BBC Sport website and look for New Voices.
This is 5 Live Sport.
With Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's go to Molineux then. Wolves 1, Ipswich 2. Late winner for Kieran McKenna's side, and then all sorts went off at the full-time whistle. Pat Murphy.
Mark, I think we needed about 4 separate pairs of eyes among we reporters to work out what was going on at the final whistle. This after Jack Taylor got a dramatic winner for Ipswich with the very last moment of the match. Frustrations boiled over. Ryan Aït-Nouri and Matthias Cunha were particularly involved. Aït-Nouri had a running battle with Wes Burns for most of the game. He'd already picked up a first half booking, and for his part in the altercation, and I saw Craig Dawson, who was wasn't playing, pick up Ait Nouri and carry him down the tunnel to keep him away from further aggro. He got a yellow card for that. That means 2 yellow cards in the match, so he'll be suspended for the next game. Liam Delap for Ipswich was also booked. The fisticuffs seem to be between those 2 Wolves players, but Ait Nouri in particular, who is incensed by various things, probably frustration, to be charitable to him. But Gary O'Neill didn't emerge until an hour after the final whistle, and that's not like him. He's got some disciplinary problems here, not just the way this game ended and the fact he's got a crucial match against Leicester to come next weekend, but this happened on early last week at West Ham when Mario Lemina, the captain, remonstrated with Mark Bowen, and then Jared Bowen rather, and then he has lost the captaincy. So O'Neill has to keep a lid on the disciplinary problems as well as trying to get some points from somewhere.
Thank you, Pat. When we did eventually hear from Gary O'Neill, this is what he had to say, first of all, about what happened at full time.
I don't know. I know Rayan was booked, but I didn't see any of it. So disappointed that Rayan's lost control and collected another yellow card, because obviously we're short enough at the moment, especially in defensive areas. So yeah, I haven't spoken to Rayan yet, but he'll know my feelings on it, because he knows how important it is that we keep control of our emotions and that we're available for as many games as possible. So that'll be dealt with internally once I've seen it and once I know exactly what's gone on. But my instant reaction is Rayan needs to do better there, because we need him.
Especially after the events of Monday night at West Ham.
Yeah, it's hard because I don't know how similar they are, obviously. And I know the group are under big pressure at the moment. Of course, they're under big stress and suffered another big setback. But we still need to find a way to make sure that we keep control.
Well, you're under pressure and feeling stress as well, aren't you? Never mind the players.
Oh, of course I'm under pressure. I'm always under pressure. But did a good job today of getting a maximum out of that group to some really good stuff. But for all that momentum, all that good feeling that we managed to create, for Liam Delap to score a goal against us, which he won't have scored since he was playing in youth football when he was bigger and stronger than everyone, for O'Shea or whoever it was to be able to boot the ball up the pitch and him just be able to bash us around and run through the middle is not acceptable for the level. We'll never score that goal again in the Premier League. And then for a couple of our lads to stand in the wrong place from a corner when focus should be at its maximum, 30 seconds. OK, we've not managed to get the second goal, even though we're pushing second half. But there's 30 seconds of this game left, and there's a corner. And I'd happily take responsibility for conceding that corner, no problem. But the lads didn't even stand in the right place. For 2 of them to stand in the wrong places. So the same problem. Couldn't deal with direct play. Couldn't see out a set play when we needed to, and that's cost us today.
Chris and Robbie, I want to hear from you. 08085 909 693 to talk to them at the conclusion of Forest and Villa, which is goalless at the break. Second successive draw for Liverpool. They had Andy Robertson sent off midway through the first half, but they came from behind twice to draw with Fulham. Here's Arne Slot.
Arne, I mean, wow, what's the overriding emotion coming from behind twice with 10 men to get a point today?
Yeah, when I talk about performance, I couldn't have asked for more from the players. So they gave it all they had, played really well with 10 men. So we had more ball possession, created more chances, and that's also being 2 times 1 goal down. I couldn't have asked for more in terms of performance, in terms of results. We're still, of course, disappointed with losing 2 points.
Cody Gakpo's goal very much kind of set the tone for the second half, and the players showed such bravery. What was your message to go out there and approach that second half like that?
No, that was great that we could score so early in the second half a goal that gives us momentum. Unfortunately, every time we had momentum, then they were injured for 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 minutes. I exaggerate a bit. And then, referees are always holding their watch saying, we will get the extra time, but it is not only about the extra time, it's sometimes also about momentum. And so we came out really strong, but I think immediately afterwards it took us 3-4 minutes because there was an injury. So then the momentum went down, but we kept pushing and we kept trying. Like I said, I couldn't have asked for more.
Arsenal failed to capitalise on that goal, on that draw for Liverpool. They were held to a goalless draw by Everton. Here's Mikel Arteta.
Very disappointed, obviously, not to win the game because we fully deserve to win it. Looking at the game, we have 0 shots off targets, 0 shot off targets, no problems with any direct play. They didn't run at all, generating no set pieces. So it was all about us, and we generated the chances. We dominated the dominance, but in the last 20 minutes, we have to make the difference. Today, we didn't do that.
How frustrating was it as a manager standing on the touchline? As you say, you dominated the play, the possession, you had maybe not as many chances you'd have liked, but how frustrating is it watching it? Can you explain your emotions?
Well, that you want to score, that I see the team that is desperate to do everything that we ask them to do, and they're really trying. But that was lacking today, and it's difficult to assume because obviously we conceded nothing. So in normal circumstances, you have to win the game, and you go away with 2 less points. That's the feeling.
As you say, you conceded nothing, but do you have to give Everton credit for the way they defended today?
I think so. I think you have to give them credit because at the end they got the point. Obviously, without shooting, you cannot score goals, so you can get a draw, and they did get a draw.
Well, past that Everton defence was Jared Branthwaite.
We're all buzzing, I think, to come down here and get a point the way we did. Everyone's buzzing, I think. Shows how good of a team we can be. You know, defensive today, we were solid front to back. We knew it was going to be hard coming down here. They kept the ball throughout the game and we had to stay, on it all times, and that's what we've done.
And how much will you take today as a group from coming here? It's a tough place to come and getting a point.
Yeah, it's massive. I think, after the Wolves game, when the derby got cancelled, we were probably a bit, disappointed. We were getting ready for that as well with a bit of confidence. But, we've come down here and sort of left off from where we were in Wolves, and it's something we take confidence from. We just need to carry on with it.
Great afternoon for Newcastle. They cruised to a 4-0 win over Leicester. Here's Eddie Howe.
Eddie, congratulations. That was probably as one-sided a game as I've seen this season. When your players get into that sort of groove, it looks like they could score 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it was a good performance today. I think the first goal was important because we'd started really well, had a number of chances, didn't score, and it took a well-worked set play to set the ball rolling. And then of course the second goal was all important as well, just after half time, because I think that settles you right down, and then we were able to express ourselves a little bit more.
Days like today, performances like today, it just reminds everyone of how good this team really is.
Yeah, we're disappointed that we haven't been able to show that more this season. Today's up there again with one of our best performances, but I do feel we're getting there. Despite some inconsistencies around today's performance, we've just got to focus on the future and try and replicate these levels on a regular basis.
Conor McNamara with the questions, and he also spoke to Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Ruud, it was a game that slipped away from you. It became a tough day to try and claw your way back into that one.
Yeah, it was hard. It was 1-0 at half time. I think we were a bit lucky not to be down with more. But okay, then after 5 minutes it's 3-0 in the second half. First one was a set piece, second one as well, back post, bringing it back in and a header. And then the third one I think was also a throw-in. So then it's costly, when you concede in these moments, standard situations. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard here to turn it around.
Okay, do you just draw a line through this and try and move on to the next game?
Yeah, we're going to have to, but of course it's great. It's a great game to look back together, because we're only started working 2 weeks together, and of course it was the West Ham and the Brighton at home with 4 points against very good sides. It was very positive. This one went the other way. We're still reflecting and learning and building something together. And we use this game for the good, for the development of the team.
Plenty to talk to Robbie and Chris about tonight on 606 08085 at 909 693. I'm sure they'll want to hear from fans of the leaders of all three of the other divisions. Sheffield United top of the Championship after a 2-0 win over Plymouth. Another thumping win for Wickham today. They won at Shrewsbury to stay top of League One. And Walsall now have a 4-point lead at the top of League Two. They won again this afternoon. They beat Barrow at home, whilst Port Vale could only draw at Bromley. Live sport all the way on Sports Extra. You've got the Rugby Union at the moment, the Champions Cup. You've got boxing later. Lauren Price defending her titles from 8 o'clock, and then from 9 o'clock here on 5 Live, you've got Natasha Jonas taking to the ring in Liverpool as well. So that's the boxing on the way. And then much later this evening on Sports Extra, from about 11:30, you've got second day of the third test between Australia and India. Rain virtually ruined the opening day, just 13 overs and 2 balls were bowled. Australia will resume on 28 without loss. Teams back out for the second half at the City Ground. Goalless after the first half. Here are Mole Cole-Brighton and Chris Wise.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, and the City Ground just trying to rouse the team, I think, at the beginning of this second period in the hope that they can push on, collect 3 points, which would be for Forest, as it would be for Aston Villa, an opportunity for them to move into the Premier League's top 4 with it, but Mark Albrighton, I think a bit more quality is going to be needed for one of these teams to find that breakthrough.
Yeah, like you've just said there, what an opportunity it is for both sides to climb the table, get themselves into a great position in the Premier League, and both sides after that first half will be looking for that little bit more quality, that little bit more guile in the final third, and try and create a few more chances.
So Forest get us underway in the second half. The ball all the way back with Matt Sells, their goalkeeper, who sends a long punt into Aston Villa territory, and when eventually it drops to Hudson-Odoi and Konza, the former fouls the latter. So a Villa free kick. Here's the two teams for you. For Forest, Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams, and then Dominguez and the captain Yates, Anderson, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi and Wood, as the ball goes back to Emi Martinez in the Villa goal. And in front of him for Villa, Konza, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, who was a very late replacement for Tyrone Mings, who was named in the initial Villa starting 11, and Digne, and then Kamara, Tielemans, Cash, McGinn, Rodgers and Duran. And I guess, Mark Albrighton, the big talking point from that first half at Forest 0, Villa 0 was whether Morgan Rodgers could have had a penalty.
Yeah, for me it's a penalty. Morgan Rodgers has probably got hold of the defender to start with, but I think as it goes on, the defender grabs Morgan Rodgers' arm, and that carries on into the penalty box, and I think that for me is enough to be given a penalty, although I do think he's gone down very soft, but still I do think it's a penalty for me.
Now Murillo has just fouled John Duran 20 yards outside the Nottingham Forest penalty area, so it's an Aston Villa free kick here, 90 seconds into the second half. Forest 0, Villa 0. Bit of noise coming from the way end, the Bridgeford stand over towards our right hand side. I can see one or two in Santa hats in there as well. I never know when the right moment is to stick the Santa hat on over the festive period, but I'd say today is a little too early.
No, I don't think it can be too early with a Santa hat, in my opinion.
Okay, well, why aren't you wearing one yourself today then, eh?
I can't pull a Santa hat off, man.
2 minutes into the second half, 0-0 here on 5 Live. Villa free kick, and there's a conversation taking place between 4 Villa players all around the ball as to what is going to happen with it here. And Konza and Rodgers have moved away from that situation now. So Tielemans and Digne are over this free kick, and it's going to be Digne, the Frenchman, to cash across goal, and it took a deflection and it took it away from goal in the end. And then Gibbs-White managed to clear the ball. He thought he was fouled actually, but Villa have got the ball back on the halfway line with Kamara, and they will rebuild this attack, Aston Villa, on the far left-hand side, and with nothing on, they're going to go all the way back to Diego Carlos, their centre-half.
Yeah, well worked free kick there. Luca Digne with a good ball across, and Matty Cash finds himself in a bit of space in the penalty box. I think it's took a deflection on its way in, which sort of moves the line of the ball a little bit.
Here's Digne, left-hand side, cross into the middle, Murillo up and over his own crossbar and behind. And the Villa supporters behind that goal, encouraged by that fast Aston Villa move. They've got a corner here, 0-0.
Yeah, good ball down the left-hand side there, and Luca Digne again. He's got a great delivery. He's got great quality in that final third. He creates a lot of chances from it, and that again is a superb ball across.
No one's got more assists in this Aston Villa team than Youri Tielemans, and he's got the ball in his hand, and he's strolled over to the far left-hand side. He's placed that yellow ball down inside the quadrant. He's taken 3 or 4 steps backwards, the Belgium, raises his left hand into the air, swings it in. Konza's header, he attacked it. He got a little bit on it, but I think the presence of those around him just sent that ball away from goal in the end. And as Aina races away down the left-hand side, McGinn has caught the back of his heels. It's definitely a Forest free kick, but there's a few Forest players and probably a fair few more Nottingham Forest fans who would like to see John McGinn booked for that.
Yeah, well, it did look like he did get a bit of the ball, but he's gone through the back of Ola Aina there, and in front of these Nottingham Forest fans. It's you can tell they're frustrated because they were Ola Aina was away there, and he was creating the counter attack. And it just stops that. So from Villa's point of view, it's very good foul. But from Forest's point of view, I can tell why they're very frustrated with that.
Tactical foul from John McGinn. 4.5 minutes into the second half here. Forest and Villa still locked at 0-0. And Forest going from right to left with the ball on the halfway line with Williams, who is challenged by Tielemans, and now Morgan Rogers has it. And there was a grab of his shirt, so it's going to be a Villa free kick, which the blonde hair of Morgan Rogers, that's a new look over the last couple of weeks for the youngster, quickly takes it to Kamara, and it's with Diego Carlos just inside his own half, the Villa centre-back, who's looking around to see where that next ball might be.
Yeah, I just noticed as well, Unai Emery down the bottom here, he was telling Morgan Rogers to move the ball faster. You could tell he held on to it a bit too long. In the end, wins the foul, but tell him to move it faster, keep moving the ball, keep moving Forest from side to side.
We've got the Iberian Peninsula today, haven't we, in the two dugouts, with the Portuguese Nuno and the Spaniard Unai Emery, as the offside flag is raised against that latest Aston Villa attack. So Nottingham Forest have a free kick. Forest 0, Villa 0. Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, I think as well, Unai Emery, we spoke about the size of that technical area, but he still manages to find himself out of it at many parts of the game. He really does get into it, and you've got Nuno the opposite side, also out of his technical area, but a lot more composed, a lot more calm.
I wonder if he's got the Fitbit on as well, Unai Emery, just to track the kilometres that he does inside the technical area.
The step count will be very high today, Chris. The step count will be very high.
Might get up to his daily 10,000 just on a 90 minutes inside the City Ground technical area.
Is that the daily recommended, is it?
Apparently so. Here's Nico Williams, couple of step overs up against Matty Cash coming in from that left wing. It's back in the middle of the park with Milenkovic, Forest tall Serbian centre half. Aina for Nicolas Dominguez. The one Forest change today, Dominguez in for Jota Silva, who is on the Forest bench. And at the feet again of Milenkovic, who was man of the match at Manchester United last week. Forest playing at 5:30 last Saturday, tea time too, in that victory. Here's Hudson-Odoi, left wing, right-footed cross, curling and caught by Martinez.
Yeah, again, theme of the first half as well. Hudson-Odoi getting the ball and looking to get balls in the box to Chris Wood. He's done it again. This time he's come on the inside and putting an in-swing with his right foot. And unfortunately, again, same as the first half, too close to Martinez, who gathers it confidently.
There's 3 England caps, Callum Hudson-Odoi, the last of which was 5 years ago. I just wonder whether the arrival of Thomas Tuchel might give him an opportunity to start afresh. Oh, Villa playing dangerously. The ball to Kamara was poor, but to be fair to Boubacar Kamara, with great physicality, he rectified the situation to keep Ryan Yates away from the ball.
Yeah, he used his body really well there, got his body between the player and the ball, and really used his body well and kept hold of the ball, because that did look like it could be a dangerous situation. Villa trying to play out, and Forest on them straight away on the front foot.
Still 0-0 as Villa from the left side of the pitch force it up to Rogers. Rogers up to the edge of the penalty area. In the box is Cash, look to square it for Duran. It's put behind for a corner. It's come off Nico Williams. Villa are going well in this second half, though. 8 minutes into it, 0-0.
Yeah, again, just that last little bit. Just need that bit more quality from Matty Cash. He finds himself in a great position. Morgan Rogers does really well to first keep hold of the ball and then to make the pass. The weight of pass is perfect. And then he's got a couple of options, and it's difficult, it's closed, but Matty Cash could probably do better there.
So a Villa corner then, which John McGinn is going to take. He's getting a fair bit of stick from the Forest fans as he does so. Left-footed, Duran's on his own at the far post. He's missed his effort, and then on the follow-up with an acrobatic overhead kick has sent the ball onto the roof of the net. That went from the ridiculous to the sublime from John Duran in the space of half a second.
Yeah, I think that sums John Duran up. He weren't happy with the easier tap in. He wanted to make it spectacular, and he almost does. The missed kick to start with, and then the overhead kick is ever so close. Just comes off the lands on the roof of the net there. Brilliant technique.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's just a shame the technique wasn't quite as on point for his first effort.
Terrible technique.
So still Forest 0, Aston Villa 0. Mark Albrighton with us, former Premier League winner, of course, in that famous season with Leicester City. And we were talking about that Morgan Rogers penalty shout for Aston Villa in the first half. We've spoken to the PGMOL, and they have told us that the officials viewed that challenge as a, and I quote, fleeting grab of the arm. So that's the reason they didn't give Aston Villa the penalty.
Grab of the arm.
Yeah.
That's the technical term?
Yeah, new terminology for me, that one. 10 minutes in, 0-0 in this second half, away by Diego Carlos. But this game is getting into a rhythm now, it feels like. The first half was bitty, but now there's more flow to it. And this is Ola Reiner giving it to Elliot Anderson, the Nottingham Forest number 8, to this left-hand side for Nico Williams, who's got the black gloves on this evening. This is Hudson-Odoi, being watched by Konza, who gets his boot on it, but it's diverted in the direction of Murillo. And now in the centre of the park is the much loved around these parts Ryan Yates, Aina, Dominguez, and back with Aina on the right hand side, but Forest are being forced backwards at the moment by Villa.
Yeah, they just need a little bit more movement up front. It's a little bit static. Obviously Chris Wood likes to keep himself central, but he needs the players around him, Morgan Gibbs-White, Ryan Yates from a little bit deeper, Hudson-Odoi, just to make them runs in behind, just like they've done there, and they've tried to find him with Morgan Gibbs-White there making that run. Yeah. Just need more of that.
It was Murillo's pass that was cut out by Diego Carlos. So let's go straight to Leicester Tigers. Sharks are into the second half of the Champions Cup rugby game between those two at Welford Road. James Burridge.
And a 6th try for Leicester. Jack Van Portfreak right through the centre of the pitch, diving under the post. A huge gap once again on the Sharks' defence. And we have had a change in referee. Andrea Piardi unable to continue after being caught by Van Portfreak on the ankle. So Felipe Russo, who was the assistant, now takes charge with the whistle. 42-10 to Leicester.
Here's Hudson-Odoi for Forest inside the box. Shot is deflected away, picked up by Nico Williams, 25 yards out, right-footed shot, and Emi Martinez knew that was going to whistle wide of his left-hand post, so it's still Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0.
Yeah, that's better from Forest. They win the ball on the halfway line, they break fast, they get the ball again to Hudson-Odoi, who's positive, who's creative, gets into the box, squares Konza up and tries to make something happen, deflected out to Nico Williams, who we know has got a technique and capability of hitting a ball from long range, and he just gets that one slightly wrong, and it just goes wide of the post. But more encouraging from Nottingham Forest.
In the Women's Super League, this is the latest scoreline. They're just up to the hour between Brighton and Spurs. It's still 0-0. Leicester-Chelsea finished 1-1 earlier today. And if you missed the news this week, Aston Villa's women's team sacked their manager this week, Robert DePau, after just 6 months in the job, with Villa 1 point above the relegation zone. And the person who has taken over, at least temporarily, is Sean Gota, which caught my eye. He of Manchester City.
One, isn't it? Yeah.
12 and a bit minutes into the second half here. And Forest have got the ball on the halfway line. Villa felt there was a foul. Unai Emery's got his arms outstretched on the touchline ahead of us. Forest are streaming forward. Hudson-Odoi, left-hand side, inside the penalty area. Now out of the box with Anderson. And Gibbs-White couldn't touch it because he was in an offside position. Actually, the flag has gone up against Gibbs-White, but the referee's told the assistant referee to put it down because he wasn't interfering with play. And eventually, as Elliot Anderson tries to barge his way past Matty Cash, the ball bounces off the Forest man. And it is a Villa throw, 0-0.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that. The linesman's seen it, didn't know whether to put his flag up, ends up putting it up, and the referee telling him to put it down. It's all very complicated, isn't it? It's all very confusing.
Yeah, and it's getting a little tasty down in the technical area as well. Not between the two managers who are fully focused on what's going on the pitch, but for members of their backroom staff of Forest and Villa. They're involved in a verbal altercation at the moment, which is still ongoing, by the way. And the fourth official, Darren Bond, is having to step in to calm things down. Here's Hudson-Odoi, left wing for Forest. It's crossed, challenged by Konza. It's gone behind. It's a Nottingham Forest corner in front of the Trent end, 0-0. And now Forest themselves are beginning to really grow into this match.
Yeah, like I say, more encouraging from Forest. They're winning the ball back. They're getting the ball forward early. We've seen them do that over recent months, where they get the ball to their players that like Hudson-Odoi, like Morgan Gibbs-White, that can make things happen, and they've done that very quickly in the last few minutes or so.
There is a huddle of about 5 or 6 Forest players all on the edge of Aston Villa's penalty area here. They're trying to befuddle the Villa defence with this set piece, and it's going to come in from this left-hand side. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on in the box as well. Everybody's jostling to try and get a run on one another. As Milenkovic is at the far post, he obviously scored from a Forest corner last week at Old Trafford. As eventually Anderson takes it, is flicked on, and did that cross the line? Martinez might have got a hand to it. I think that's a brilliant stop from the goalkeeper. No goal. Back in by Anderson and away off the head of Pau Torres. Forest have got another corner. What a sublime stop by Emi Martinez.
I'm with you. I thought it was in, but what a superb save. He's got down so low, he's kept it out, and the defenders have come and cleared it on the second phase.
That is an absolutely remarkable stop from Emi Martinez. Mark Albrighton, just explain what we're seeing here.
The ball's bounced off Rodgers. He's took two deflections. No, he's just before Rodgers, Dominguez, and he's not even facing the same way. He's not even facing the way of the ball. He's not even facing towards the pitch, Martinez, and he's just managed to claw it.
Here's Anderson's corner again. The header, that one's an easy one for Martinez. But what went just before is one of the best saves that I have seen for a while in the Premier League. Unconventional, but unbelievable in the same breath.
I honestly can't believe he's not even looking in the way of the pitch. He's facing the complete opposite way, and he manages to just put an arm out and claw it off the line, and it's centimetres from going in. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was Nicolas Dominguez from inside the 6-yard box, downward header. Emi Martinez back on his line. The ball looks like it's gone beyond him, and he reaches behind him and somehow manages to keep his eye on the ball, almost like he was bouncing a basketball to push the ball down into the ground and eventually for Villa to get it away.
And what I will say as well is Diego Carlos was first to react. He was credit to him as well, because that ball, anyone could have just tapped that in for 1-0, but he was first to react and he got rid of the ball. He was on his toes. So yeah, a joint effort, but the save was one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, and I mean, he took a fair bit of criticism, Emi Martinez, during the week for his role in one of RB Leipzig's goals in Villa's Champions League match, but that right there is why he is the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah, I think obviously he's made a couple of errors, but in the whole, his time at Aston Villa, he's been absolutely superb. He's got the best goalkeeper in the world 2 years running, fully deserved. And he's saved Villa on many occasions, and he's been at the heart of everything that they've done, and then even for his country as well, he's excelled.
So, game livening up now here on 5 Live. Forest 0, Villa 0. We're 17 minutes into the second half. Here's Morgan Rodgers for Villa, trapping the ball on the right wing. He's 10 yards outside the penalty area. He's drifting inside. He's giving it to Duran. It's back with Rodgers again. It's laid off for McGinn. McGinn to Digne. Digne inside the box, left-hand side. McGinn. Duran heads it in. Villa leads. And of course, John Duran is the goal scorer. So often the super sub Duran. Today, he's the goal-scoring starter. And it's Forest 0, Villa 1.
Well, who else? John Duran. He's done it again. It's an unbelievable header as well. It's a half ball in by McGinn. He's probably not caught it as well as he wanted to. But what I will say is that the header is absolutely incredible. The pace in which it arrived to him, he's just guided it past Matt Sells, and against the run of play, if anything, Villa 1 up.
Well, John Duran, whose goals are becoming such a feature of Aston Villa's season, and goals in all sorts of different manners, and this one beautifully taken with his head and very cleverly crafted as well by John McGinn.
Yeah, it was, and credit to the referee as well, because there was a foul on the edge of the box, and he's played the advantage, and yeah, Luca Dean would have pulled back to the edge of the box for John McGinn, who puts it in first time, straight on the head of John McGinn, who guides it straight past Matt Sells, and it's a lovely header, and yeah, fantastic for Villa. Forest probably having their best spell, and then that happens, so they need to pick themselves up again and go again.
Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1. That goal from John Duran, 63 minutes in, his 11th of the season, his 6th in the Premier League. Got the winner last week against Southampton, and same scoreline, same scorer here. Forest 0, Villa 1, and now the onus is going to be on Nottingham Forest to try and attack this Villa defence to get themselves back into it.
Yeah, I'm hoping this now opens the game up a little bit. It has been very cagey. It had started to open up. Forest probably got a little bit more on top, and then that goal comes out of the blue for Villa. We'll wait to see how Forest react to that.
Gibbs White for Forest. Gibbs White lifting it through. Did that hit a hand? No, not given by the referee. Waved away. One back by Murillo though for Forest. They're coming up Villa here. This is Anderson. Elliot Anderson into the box. Sharp feet from him. Gibbs White takes aim. Repelled. Picked up again by Nico Williams. Forest 0, Villa 1. This is Hudson-Odoi, left-hand side of the penalty area for Nottingham Forest. Running infield, Hudson-Odoi. Return to the Welshman, Nico Williams. Williams in the box. Right-footed shot. Martinez got down really quickly to his right-hand side at his near post. And with both hands, strong hands, pushes the ball and eventually Villa clear for a Forest throw.
Yeah, different type of save, but very good as well. It comes through a lot of bodies.
Murillo lifts it back in again, too heavy for Chris Wood, can't quite trap it. Aston Villa goal kick.
Yeah, that just back to that shot there from Nico Williams. He goes for the near post through bodies, and Martinez has got to be on his toes. He sees it late and gets two strong hands behind it and manages to get it away to safety.
And if this scoreline stays like this, Forest 0, Aston Villa 1, we are going to be talking about that 3 or so minute period where Emi Martinez has made a world-class stop at one end and Villa have gone up the other end and scored a brilliant goal of their own.
And that's why we love this game. It can just change in an instant. It can just flip on its head, and that's what's happened there. Forest were on top. They were starting to get a foothold of the game. They were starting to create chances. Hudson-Odoi on the ball, and then all of a sudden one massive save and one bit of quality up the other end, and it's 1-0 Villa.
Tielemans, I was going to say settling things down for Villa, but actually he's giving it to Elliot Anderson. Forest are picking up the tempo here as the ball is lifted out to the left-hand side for Hudson-Odoi. He's cutting infield. Hudson-Odoi, now Duran was there, Hudson-Odoi tumbled, and either that's a penalty or Hudson-Odoi perhaps should be booked for simulation.
Yeah, John Duran with the outstretched leg. Whether he's made contact or not, I don't know, but I'm with you. It's either a foul or it's simulation.
Yeah, nothing given either way by the referee in that sense. And actually, Hudson-Odoi's reaction suggests to me that it wasn't a penalty. Here's Woods, Chris Wood trying to flick it away from Diego Carlos, and then the shot over the bar from Nicolas Dominguez. It went very high in the end into the Trent end, and it remains Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, and it's a great reaction from Forest because, like I say, they were on top. The goal came against the run of play, and they could have quite gone under, but they've got straight back to it, and they've tried to find the danger men, the players that were causing Villa's problems in the early part of that second half. So credit to them, they've really stepped it back up.
Couple of changes from Nuno Espirito Santo here with his team trailing by a goal to 0. He is bringing on Morato, who is going to place Murillo. So that is one Brazilian for another in Forest back line. And also Jota Silva with the number 20 on his back is trotting onto the pitch, the Portuguese. And it is Ryan Yates who's gone off. So I imagine, Mark Albrighton, that Jota Silva's going to play high on that right-hand side.
Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like he's gone straight over there, but he looks concerned already about Luca Dean. Luca Dean's playing quite high, and he's already having to do a job and track him there when he makes the run.
This game is beautifully poised, and it is livening up now. It's Forest 0, Villa 1. John Duran, the goal scorer. This is McGinn, who is keeping his body low, keeping Aina away from the ball, and getting the free kick out of Ola Aina as well, who was grabbing hold of the Scotsman's shirt.
Yeah, you can see Unai Emery down this bottom here, just telling everyone to settle down, calm the ball down. It's all getting a bit frantic. Villa being 1 up, obviously they want to slow the game down a little bit now.
Mind you, they've taken that free kick relatively quickly. Morgan Rogers has got it. Boubacar Kamara now outside the box, trying to chip it back in for Morgan Rogers, away as far as McGinn, who's doing a great job on that left wing of shielding the ball again for Aston Villa. And back to the halfway line it goes with Pau Torres. And this Aston Villa team lost their last 3 away games in the Premier League. Beaten 4-1 at Spurs, 2-0 at Liverpool, 3-0 at Chelsea, but 1-0 up here against Nottingham Forest, the team who are immediately above them in the Premier League table. And Villa have got another free kick here, midway inside Nottingham Forest half.
Yeah, John McGinn using his body again. He does it so well. We've seen it over the years how good he is at sort of manoeuvring the ball and keeping players away from him. and he's done it 3 times in quick succession there, the latter of which is won his team a valuable free kick.
Austin McPhee, the Aston Villa set-piece coach, using this opportunity to come to the edge of the technical area to get some instructions to the Villa players with his long, unmistakable blonde hair, as Tielemans prepares for the free kick, right-footed. Cash at the far post won the header, and then Sells claims it. Nottingham Forest Belgian goalkeeper, who then ran into John Duran, who is going to be booked actually, Duran, for that. I wondered whether Sells had engineered that, but it is a yellow card for Aston Villa's goal scorer.
Yeah, I suppose he stopped him throwing it out quickly. I don't think there's too much in it, I've got to be honest with you. I don't know if it's enough for him to go, Matt Sells to go down, but he steps across his path, and you can't do it anymore, so he's probably rightly so. Yeah, I think he gets the yellow card.
I think the angle that we are at perhaps was deceptive there, because having seen the replay on the screen, he definitely does step across his path.
He does.
Here is Anderson for Forest, 1-0 down here at home at the City Ground to Aston Villa, and he's high up in Villa's half at the moment. Villa have won it back, and the ball is out of play. Actually, it's come off Dominguez. It's going to be a Villa throw on the halfway line, and there's no great urgency from Morgan Rogers to go and get that ball. 2 more live games tomorrow on 5 Live. Brighton against Crystal Palace from 2 o'clock at the Amex, and on Derby Sunday it continues in Manchester with City against United. That is live. We'll have full build-up to that on a fabulous day of football. And don't forget 2 matches at 7 o'clock tomorrow night in the Premier League as well. Chelsea, Brentford and Southampton, Spurs. And then next week, League Cup quarter-final taking prominence. Newcastle, Brentford on Wednesdays, live on 5 Live. Here's Cash for Villa on the edge of the penalty area. Cash trying to make some room. It's off Aina's heels. It's dropped to McGinn. McGinn trying to run around the outside of Dominguez. He's got away from him, McGinn. He's got to the byline now, and McGinn has still got it, and eventually he's run out of space and dives in for the challenge on Ola Aina, who's reacted a little bit to John McGinn there, and McGinn's picked him up. He's given him a piggyback, and it's all friendly in the end, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, it just seemed to open up a little bit there for Matty Cash. We're just watching the pictures of McGinn's piggyback there. But yeah, it just seemed to open up for Matty Cash, and he just couldn't manage to get the ball out wide as well as he could, and it just slows the attack down a little bit, and turns out into nothing.
Yeah, just to complete the League Cup coverage we've got for you next week. Newcastle, Brentford on Wednesday night on 5 Live. 5 Live Sports Extra, Southampton, Liverpool, and on Thursday we'll be at Old Trafford for Manchester United against Tottenham. Forest 0, Villa 1. John Duran with the goal, John McGinn with the assist, and Forest in possession with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's drifted centrally here to try and start this Forest attack. He's carried the ball 20 yards. On that far right-hand side is Jota Silva with his long hair tied back, and then Hudson-Odoi looking for Woods off the head of Torres, hit by Elliot Anderson into the ground. It was scuffed in the end from the midfielder, and it bounces wide of Martinez's right post.
Yeah, I think this afternoon I've been really impressed with Hudson-Odoi. He's been desperate to get on the ball, try and make things happen. Everything that Forest have done really has come through Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he's tried to get balls into the box. He's mixed his game up, looked at dribbling past his player, looked at little cutbacks in the penalty area, and he's really impressed me today.
So double change for Aston Villa at 1-0 up here. We're going to see Amadou Onana, who is going to replace Yuri Tielemans here. Onana, who had a very, very good goal-scoring start, at least to his Villa career, after his £50 million move from Everton in the summer. And also coming off is Aston Villa's goal scorer, and he's got a good reception as well from those Villa supporters. And no surprise to see the man on to replace him. It is Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, probably not what you want to see if you're a Nottingham Forest centre-half. John Duran going off and Ollie Watkins coming on. But I think John Duran will be happy with his evening's work, and he's been asked a question: can he play from the start? Can he still do what he does when he comes off the pitch, onto the pitch from off the bench? And he's proved to everyone that he can. He's probably had a fairly quiet game in build-up, but he does what John Duran does, and he's got the only goal of the game so far.
A bit more fuel to the fire, isn't it, of the Watkins or Duran debate, as the ball is back with Emi Martinez. 08085 909 693 tonight for 606. You can get your calls in now for Chris and Robbie, maybe you're a Villa fan and you want to talk about John Duran's continued impact in this Aston Villa team and reflect on what else has happened in the Premier League today. Arsenal dropping points at home to Everton, Liverpool drawing with Fulham. They were playing a lot of that game with 10 men at Anfield. That finished 2-2, so the door at the top has really opened up for Chelsea ahead of their game against Brentford tomorrow. Newcastle back on track with a win over Leicester by 4-0. First defeat of Ruud van Nistelrooy's era. And Wolves 1, Ipswich 2. So where does that leave Gary O'Neill? If you're a Wolves fan, give us a call tonight, 08085 909 693 for 606. There's McGinn in the centre of the pitch, inside the centre circle. He's given it backwards to Diego Carlos, and now Morgan Rogers, the very lean frame of the Aston Villa attacking midfielder. Here's Kamara with his hair bobbing around as he plays the pass to the left-hand side for Luca Digne. 8 seasons now in the Premier League for the Frenchman Digne. And on the halfway line is Torres. Torres up towards Watkins. Watkins coming short to retrieve the ball. He's given it to Digne on the left-hand side. And back with Kamara, 15 yards inside Forest half.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Ollie Watkins gives you that probably John Duran doesn't, is link-up playing, the way he gets involved in the build-up of attacks, and he'll set it off, he'll cause problems. I think that's one thing that he does very well and has really improved in his game as well over the years, and that's one thing that probably John Duran doesn't do for you at the moment.
He's forced off at half-time against Leipzig, Ollie Watkins, with what Unai Emery said was a minor injury during the week in the Champions League. Anthony Elanga's about to come on for Nottingham Forest, with them trailing Villa here by 1-0, and we're inside the final 15 minutes at the City ground as Morgan Rogers skips away from Elliot Anderson, then got the ball entangled underneath his feet, and it allows Forest to get the ball back. Chris Wood, the tall New Zealander, has come short to get it on the halfway line, and it's back with Nico Williams as Forest move through the phases in their back line again.
Yeah, Chris Wood just been on the fringes of the game. I think he's not really had too much to feed off in the penalty area, and they've not really got the ball to his feet outside of the penalty area, but he only needs one chance, and he's proved that in this season so far. He only needs one half chance, and he's a threat in front of goal, so you've got to be very wary if you're an Aston Villa centre half.
So Nottingham Forest change, Anthony Elanga for Nicolas Dominguez, so this is one that you probably feel that Nuno Espirito Santo has to make, really, just in terms of getting more attacking players onto the pitch. It is the former Manchester United man, the Swedish international Anthony Elanga, with his black headband tightly wrapped around his head, who has gone over to that right wing position.
Yeah, another change over on that right wing position. Jota Silva's come inside now. He'll look to create a little bit more off of Chris Wood. And then Anthony Elanga on that right hand side is already in excitement when he gets the ball at his feet. You can tell from the fans.
Yeah, bit of a buzz around the City ground when he collected that ball there, as Aina has to do a bit of work going the wrong way as far as he's concerned, back towards the halfway line, just to keep this Forest move going. Forest 0, Villa 1. Duran with the goal just after the hour mark, so Villa at the moment moving into the top 4. They're going above Manchester City, but Forest have still got something to say about that as the ball is slipped through. Elanga trying to reach it, coming together with Digne. Both ended up on the floor. No free kick given. It's going to be a Forest throw deep on the right wing.
Yeah, I've seen them given, I must say. I think he gets the right side of Luca Digne, and Luca Digne commits a... yeah, there's not too much in it, but I've seen them given. Certainly seen them given.
So can Forest do anything with this throw here from the right hand side in front of the Brian Clough stand? It's launched in towards that near post, and it's come to Gibbs White, who tried to lob it over the keeper with his head, and that's a tricky thing to navigate, a ball over the tall frame of Emi Martinez, who's taking it out of the sky.
Yeah, I think Gibbs White there could be better off just trying to put it back into play a little bit. There weren't much pace on the ball, and he's tried to loop it over Martinez, which was always going to be very hard. He's probably better off just putting it back in the danger area and keeping the attack alive.
Forest 0, Villa 1. Milenkovic up towards the halfway line for Forest, taken down by Elanga, given back to him by Aina. Now halfway inside Villa's half. Aina infield with a delicate touch in the direction of Gibbs White, who is orchestrating things from a little deeper area now for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, seen it before with Morgan Gibbs-White. If he doesn't seem to be getting the service of playing higher up, he will. He's not scared of coming back and getting on the ball in these deeper positions and dictating things from back there. He's got the quality to do so. He's got the awareness to do so. So Forest will be looking to get him on the ball as much as possible, but he's given that one away there, and Forest could be in trouble.
Yeah, and he's put his head down to power back into position, Morgan Gibbs-White, because really Forest cannot afford to concede again here. Villa in possession on the halfway line, but it is Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1, and here is Onana striding forward with great purpose. Onana trying to feed it through for Watkins, who got a bit lucky with the bounce, but it's given back to him by McGinn. He's inside the box. Ollie Watkins tees it up for McGinn. McGinn up to the far post, cash back across goal. It's hit Morgan Rogers, but it was too high for him. And then Onana and Kamara trying to restart things, and it's back with Esri Konsa 15 yards inside Forest half.
Yeah, even that, like, it's just a little bit scrappy. Probably not the right ball that he wanted to put in, probably not the right pass just before that. But a great opportunity. They've got him some great areas there.
Gibbs-White, beautiful ball outside of the right boot to set Hudson-Odoi away. Forest looking for an equaliser. Hudson-Odoi, edge of the penalty area. Gibbs-White's there on the end of it. Gibbs-White feeding it through. Alanga across goal, and in by Chris Woods for the Nottingham Forest equaliser. And the most familiar name on the score sheet for Forest this season. Chris Wood has his 11th Premier League goal, pouncing inside the 6-yard box to slide it in, and Forest with 9 minutes to go are level. Forest 1, Villa 1.
And yeah, that's what he does. That's what we've spoke about. Chris Wood is always, whether he's on the fringes of the game, whether he's involved in the build-up of the game, he's always a threat. He only needs one chance. He only needs half a chance to come up trumps. He keeps himself in that centre of the goal where there's going to be opportunities. First and foremost, an unbelievable pass from Morgan Gibbs-White in behind, in between the centre half and the full-back, and then a great slide across from Alanga. Woods there to tap it in, and if he don't tap it in, Jota Silva's directly behind him. It's an even easier opportunity for him.
Slight delay here, VAR check taking place. It's not against Chris Wood, I don't think. It's potentially against Anthony Alanga from the initial ball from Gibbs-White that found him, and it is mighty tight, Mark Albrighton.
It is extremely tight. I think it might be Carlos in the middle maybe, but for me looks onside, but I need to get the lines out on this one. I think I'm always hastened to have a guess at it these days, because you see something, you think it's going one way, and then ultimately it doesn't necessarily materialise like that. That might be a rookie error from me there.
Well, the only thing is that as far as Anthony Alanga is concerned, that could stand against him is that he is leaning his body forward, and it is just whether he's beyond Diego Carlos when that pass is played.
Yeah, it's ever so tight. It could be his shoulder. He's got his arm outstretched, hasn't he? So it could be that the bottom of that sleeve line. Is that what they?
That's right.
They go with. It could be that probably counts him offside, but like I say, it's mightily close.
Huge moment in this game, with the scoreline right now at Forest 1, Villa 1. But is that Forest goal about to be chalked off? They are deliberating over this. The VAR, John Brooks, is making sure that he can get as close as he possibly can to the exact moment that Gibbs-White plays that pass for Alanga.
This is so difficult. This is such a difficult one to judge and read. You've got Luca Dean that's there. I think he's past Luca Dean. So then it's Carlos in the middle that's the only contender to keeping him onside. Oh, I would not like to say.
Well, somebody has to, I think, and it's going to fall on John Brooks
to have to be me.
Give the instruction to Sam Barrett, the referee, who's got Morgan Gibbs-White and Chris Wood stood in front of him at the moment. I think they just want a bit of information. They want to find out what's going on. This is taking a long time.
The more you look at it, like, your opinion changes and you see other things and you think, and it just confuses you, but this is taking a very long time.
It's not going to count, this goal. The City Ground don't know it yet, but I've just seen the red line on the screen, and Anthony Alanga is judged to have been offside. So listen to this reaction from the City Ground. That noise you hear, that's the Villa fans celebrating, because Chris Wood's goal is disallowed for offside, so it's still Forest 0, Villa 1. Villa have a reprieve.
Wow. Now I need to see them lines back, because that was mightily close. It was so well worked as well, such a well worked attack. The finish superb. Where Chris Wood was, he was in the right position to score, but for it to be disallowed there is incredible. But if they've got to the right decision in the end, even though it took so long, then you can barely argue.
Yeah, it took several minutes that, but it is still Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1. We've now got 5 minutes left of the 90 to play, but Nottingham Forest number 11 does not have goal number 11 of his season, for now at least. But Forest, undeterred, are going to run at Villa again here down this left-hand side with Hudson-Odoi. Jota Silva is close to him. Jota Silva from this left side, back with Hudson-Odoi again, returns backwards 10 yards for Nico Williams. Now Hudson-Odoi is up against Matty Cash, onto his right foot, back onto his left. He's tricking the pole, Cash. He's crossed it right-footed. It's taking a deflection on his way through, off the head of a Villa defender, right in front of Chris Wood there and behind for a Forest corner.
Yeah, Hudson-Odoi again. I've said it so many times during this evening's match, but he's the one that's creating things. He's the one that looks more lively, and he's put a great ball in there, and it's well defended in the end by the Villa centre-halves.
Come on, you Reds, pounding out from most of the City ground. Three sides of it at least. Forest corner from the right-hand side. They're 1-0 down at home to Aston Villa. 4 minutes to go in this top six game, as Anderson, with his right foot, sent it into the near post. Digne's header away, up into the sky. Brought down by Nico Williams, 15 yards outside the box. Feigns to cross, then plays the pass into the area. Gibbs White, lifted up. Milinkovic! It's there! It's 1-1 now! Nikola Milenkovic, the Serbian! 2 goals in 2 games for Forest. A big one at Old Trafford last week, and this one bringing Forest level tonight against Villa, and now they have their equaliser. Forest 1, Villa 1.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic again. The ball into the box, the quality, and then for Milenkovic to be there to head it home, fantastic. But the character of this Nottingham Forest side, they never say die. They were on top when Villa scored. They had to bounce back from that. They've then had a goal disallowed 2 minutes ago. They've had to bounce back from that, and here they are. They're on level terms, and there's 4 or 5 minutes left of normal time here, and there'll be a lot added on after. So this game could swing either way.
It was just too powerful in the end from Milenkovic. I mean, it was almost right at Emi Martinez, but Milenkovic has met that from about 4 yards out. And Martinez, he almost has it in a grab, but he can't stop it, and he ends up pouring it into his own bottom corner. Is that an error from the goalkeeper?
Oh, it's difficult to say if it's an error or not. I don't know. The ball's come at him very fast. It looks like he's got a grasp of it, and then it's just the outside of his right wrist that sort of taps it back into the goal. But I've got to be honest with you, it does come at him mightily fast, and it's difficult to lay blame on Martinez there.
He's actually had to have a bit of treatment here, Emi Martinez, for the last minute or so while Forest were celebrating and then resetting. We're not underway yet because Emi Martinez needed some medical treatment, and a couple of weeks ago he actually came off in a game at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea at half-time with a wrist injury. I think it was a leg or a foot injury this time. We're back underway. Forest 1, Villa 1, 2 minutes to go of the 90 plus stoppage time. We're in for an absolute rip-roaring final few minutes at the City ground, Mark Albrighton.
We are, and there's going to be plenty of time added on with that VAR delay. So we've got a lot of the game left to look forward to now, and it's really spiced up, and you can hear the fans.
Digne, McGinn in the box for Villa. He's lifted it up for Watkins, and Sells with his right arm managing to get up and flick that ball over his own crossbar and behind for a Villa corner. 1-1.
See if they can make one of these corners work. Aston Villa. Luca Digne with his delivery. It's unfortunate there. McGinn does all he can to get the ball back over into the penalty box, but they've got a corner off the back of it. The centre halves have gone forward, so let's see if we can create something there.
Is there more late drama to come here on 5 Live? Duran with the Villa goal, Milenkovic with the equaliser for Forest. Villa corner from the right-hand side, inside the final 60 seconds, but as Mark Albrighton says, we are going to have some time added on. Digne swirling it up towards the far post. Sells punch away, wasn't particularly convincing, but it dropped to Elliot Anderson, and now Oloreno, I thought it was going to burst away there, but he's run that ball out of play, and it's going to be a Villa throw.
Yeah, strange decision from Matt Sells there to punch that. It didn't seem like there was many bodies around him. He could have just caught that one out of the air, but he's decided to punch it, and Oloreno gets a bit of retrieve and gets Forest up the pitch a little bit.
Villa want to make a couple of changes before this throw's going to be taken, and they've got the go-ahead to do so. So we're going to see Ian Maatsen, the 22-year-old, a name you might know from his days with Chelsea. He's played in the Champions League final at Wembley for Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid while he had a loan spell there last season. So he's coming on. It's Digne and Kamara, is it, who's been replaced, and Ross Barkley is the other new arrival for Villa. So Maatsen and Barkley on, and into 7 minutes of stoppage time we go. Forest 1, Villa 1.
Yeah, it's a big 7 minutes for both sides. It's an awkward one for Villa. Do you push on? Do you protect what you've got now? Forest the same. They've had to fight back into this game. Are both teams happy with a point, or do they push numbers forward to try and go for the victory?
Symmetry seems to be their thing this season. Both played 15, won 7, drawn 4, lost 4. There is barely an inch between Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa's season, and 1-1 here in stoppage time as Maatsen tries to reach a high ball down that left wing, which he's unable to bring down. Aina luring him into the corner flag and then clearing it upfield, but Villa regaining it with Onana, and back it goes to Martinez.
Yeah, it looks like the numbers have gone forward from Villa. Matty Cash really playing on that back line there. Onana trying to get on the ball as much as possible and create things, make things happen.
And Onana's the one who's giving it to McGinn, and McGinn sliding it to Ollie Watkins, who's dragged Milenkovic out of the penalty area on that left-hand side. He's got it back off Maatsen, Watkins, and Watkins trying to tee it up to the edge of the box, but his pass was too far ahead of John McGinn, and Forest have it now with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Brilliant tackle on him by Matty Cash, but then an equally good one from Anderson to get it back, and Anderson trying to get it through for Jota Silva for Forest. 1-1 in stoppage time. Jota Silva up against Konza, left by Anderson. Here's Nico Williams, low shot, stopped well, but then given away again by Villa. That was poor from Diego Carlos. Back with Hudson-Odoi, looks to poke it round the corner. Tired pass from him, then Anderson scrapping to get it back. He's in the box, he squares it, and Forest might have won it. The City ground goes berserk in stoppage time. Anthony Elanga from 8 yards out, the substitute, has smashed it low into the corner, and Forest have spun the game. They're 2-1 up on Villa.
Spoke about it earlier, the character of this Nottingham Forest side, absolutely incredible. They've come back, they've never been beaten. Elliot Anderson gets the ball, he puts over a great ball, great low cross, bit of a pull back. It was getting scrappy, there's a lot of giveaways. Elliot Anderson wins the ball back, drives into the box, cuts it back low and hard. Anthony Elanga, his timing to get there and to tap the ball home is perfect. 2-1 Forest.
What character from Nottingham Forest, which ultimately epitomises their season. And as it stands, Forest are going to be a top 4 side in the Premier League tonight.
Incredible, and you can't say that they don't deserve it. Yeah, on the whole, probably the game has been quite even, but if anyone's had it, it's Forest. Forest have kept pushing and pushing and pushing. They've tried to create as much as possible, and they've done absolutely superb in the second half. Like I said, character to keep coming back when they look beaten.
Red and white scarves being waved around heads everywhere you look inside the City ground. It's like a scene from an 80s football game, and what a dramatic finish here at the City ground. Hudson-Odoi off, Willy Bolly on, so Forest making very much a defensive change to try and cling to what they have. They were 1 down, They're 2-1 up in stoppage time.
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, how quick things change in a football match. And you look 5-6 minutes ago, Villa were 1-up, and all of a sudden it's totally changed, and the flow of the game has changed. The fans are behind them, and now the onus is on Aston Villa now to try and claw this back and try and get a point out of the game.
Mark Albrighton with us here on 5 Live. Dramatic second half. Duran with the goal for Villa to put them 1 up just after the hour. Milinkovic with the leveller in the 87th minute. Alanga potentially with the winner in 90+3. But we've got 7 minutes of stoppage time as Forest from their left back area get it upfield from Elliot Anderson. We've played 5 of those minimum of 7.
Yeah, I was going to say there might be a minute or 2 more added onto that with the second goal there. So we've still got plenty of time for anything to happen in this game.
Here is Ezri Konsa for Aston Villa. Now Diego Carlos, who will be furious with himself because in the build-up to that Forest goal, that latest Forest goal, he was culpable of giving the ball away with a poor pass.
He was. I think we was going to say it was getting very scrappy. Some tired bodies out there, some tired passes. Him being one of them, and I think Konsa might have been at fault as well. And it turns out to be crucial.
John McGinn trying to win a free kick, goes down on the left-hand side, not given by referee Barrett. So Villa come again, but time is suddenly against them, and their position of prominence has gone. Forest 2, Villa 1. Here is Matty Cash, former Forest player. Back it goes for Konsa. Konsa infield for Barkley. Barkley 25 yards outside the box. McGinn turns it round the corner, looks for Watkins, and pumped away by Morato, one of the Forest changes, the centre half. Alanga just for a moment thought he was going to have a clean run on Villa's goal there, but Villa managed to get bodies in the way. They've got the ball back with Barkley. We're in the 7th minute of stoppage time, so it's a minimum of 7 as Villa look for that one final opportunity. McGinn's done well, he's pushed Bolly off the ball. He's now cut in field on his right foot, and Bolly recovers to barge him out of the way. But Villa get it back again. Konsa, late charge from Villa, looking for an equaliser. Konsa, right side of the box, deflected cross, bounces away. Keeper thought about coming, scooped clearance up into the air. It's not great from Forest. It's still not away yet. Cash has got it, his downward header, and eventually smashed out of play by Gibbs-White to a great City ground roar.
Yeah, I think it's anywhere at this point. They tried to clear it a couple of times and didn't do that successfully. Morgan Gibbs-White just puts his foot behind it and kicks it out for a throw-in.
Whistles coming from the home crowd. They want to hear the one of referee Sam Barrett more than anything else. John McGinn's won Villa a throw, right up inside Forest half, far left-hand side. Forest 2, Villa 1. And this story, is there another twist to come? Final few seconds at the City ground. And Villa, who have led and are currently losing, now looking for a late equaliser to grab a point. In comes the throw, headed away by Bolly. Alanga tries to break. Barkley's got it on the halfway line, and Villa have got one last shot at this, I reckon. Matson, left-footed ball in, looking for Torres, off the head of Chris Wood. Bounces across the Forest penalty area. On this right-hand side, it's come to Konsa, and then Cash delivers. Cash up to the far post. It drops to McGinn, who fires it over the bar. And the roar, the big cheer from the City ground, because they know they're seconds away, Forest, from what will be another huge win in their Premier League season.
It will be huge, it will be. There was a chance there for McGinn, it just drops nicely to him. You can't fault him for taking the shot on, but he gets it horribly wrong, goes wayward into the stand behind the goal, and that looks like it's won it for Forest. And you can hear the fans getting behind them now, and are really excited and really enjoying this chapter of their season and how that's going.
08085 909 693. Get your calls in for 606 tonight, particularly if you're a Forest fan. How far can this team go this season? All eyes on the referee. Still no full-time whistle from Sam Barrett, but Forest have got the ball, or at least they had it inside Villa's half. Villa have got it again with Barkley. Forward it goes, upfield, as Villa try and stretch it high towards Watkins. Head away by Nico Williams, picked up by Barkley. Barkley's run into Elliot Anderson. Anderson, great strength, wins the ball, and Forest have won the game. A statement victory, another one in Nottingham Forest's scintillating season. Nuno Espirito Santo's side have beaten one of their direct rivals. They've won their 8th Premier League game of this season. They've gone above Manchester City, and they're into the top 4 tonight in the Premier League table. Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, it's difficult, Chris, to say that they don't deserve it, because I think over the course of the game, first half was very scrappy, very bitty, but if anyone had the better of it, I'd probably say it was them. They tried to create as much as possible down that left-hand side with Callum Hudson-Odoi, and then second half they come out the blocks probably better than Villa. Villa got a goal against the run of play, but Forest kept pushing and pushing. They had the goal disallowed and then go and score two goals that were allowed of high quality, and listen to the fans now. I think they fully deserve the win.
How far can this Forest team go this season? They are having a heck of a campaign.
Yeah, do you know what? One thing that really impressed me about them is their character. Their character to keep going after setbacks. Like I say, the goal against the run of play, they bounced back from that. The disallowed goal, they bounced back from that. They're not happy with the 1-1 draw. They go and score a second to go on and win the game. When you've got character like that in your ranks, then you can go as far as you want. It's down to you. They've got quality. They've got the players up top with your Morgan Gibbs-White, your Callum Hudson-Odoi, Anthony Elanga, not to mention Chris Wood, the goal scorer on many occasions this season. So they've got the tools to go as far as they want to go, and if they keep pushing on like they did today, they'll be right up there.
Really enjoyed your company tonight, Mark Albrighton. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Loved it.
Former Premier League winner Mark Albrighton with us here on 5 Live tonight. Forest 2, Villa 1. It's finished here.